And we welcome you to another edition of the Pioneer Weekly Recap as the Tusculum Pioneers, as they end much of the regular season in their sporting events and they head into the South Atlantic Conference tournament action. Hello everyone, I'm Brian Stayton. As we recap last week, and really for the soccer teams, a very good week as they went 3-1 combined. The Tusculum women ran into one of the best teams in the nation in Columbus State in fall. The Tusculum men rallied from behind. Who would have thought that the Pioneers would have scored in the final seconds this year to win a game after the beginning of the season this year? Ivan Ondebach with the free kick against Lee gives the Pioneers a 2-1 win earlier this week. And then over the weekend, a sweep of Coker, 4-1 for the women, 6-0 for the Tusculum men. As far as volleyball is concerned, it was senior day this week, and what a great week it's been for volleyball as well. They go down to Mossy Creek, take on Carson Newman. They even that regular season series as they get the win on senior night as well. Maybe not necessarily the greatest of days, but it was a 5-set thriller against Catawba. They go 2-1 over the weekend, so again, pretty impressive for the Tusculum volleyball team, putting it together just at the right time right here at the end of the year. More accolades as well for the volleyball program, and we're going to talk a lot more about that. These Cassie Bourne had a big weekend for the Tusculum volleyball team. The senior day festivities, the Friday night game against LR with the win, but then against Catawba, it was the 5-set thriller. The Tusculum football team took on their second oldest series, we're going to call it that, this past Saturday as well, was the Carson Newman Eagles. And Carson Newman came in as the number 2 team in the South Atlantic Conference in control of their entire destiny to try to win their 22nd conference championship. And early it looked good for Antonio Wimbush and company, but the Pioneers would answer thanks to Lorenzo Pratt, we're going to talk a little bit more about as well. Accounting for 151 yards rushing, 262 total offensive yards, including a 91-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Special teams had a special day. A kickoff return for a touchdown. They also had a block punt. They also had a bad punt going against Carson Newman that set them up into some good field position. Yeah, Joe DeFada might not have been able to hit that 47-yard field goal into the stiff breeze, but for the Pioneers, kickoff return was good against the best kickoff return team in the South Atlantic Conference. The Pioneers get their first double-digit win ever in the modern era against the Carson Newman Eagles. It was 41-28, and Lorenzo Pratt had a lot to do with that. Looking ahead this week as we go through this regular season, is wrapping it up. The Tusculum soccer teams will be in action this week, but they'll be in the quarterfinals of the South Atlantic Conference tournament. The men will get the 3 seed. They'll get a chance to host Wingate. Tuesday night, they'll host Wingate 7 o'clock. The Tusculum women will be on the road for a 5 o'clock game in Hickory, North Carolina in the South Atlantic Conference quarterfinals. LR's men finished as the 1 seed. Former assistant coach here at Tusculum, Gary Higgins, and LR alum will take his LR Bears against Mike Joy's Tusculum women Pioneer team on Tuesday night. And women's volleyball, as they continue to wrap up their regular season, they get a chance to host Mars Hill on Tuesday night. Interesting little game here that's going on Wednesday for Halloween here at Tusculum. I thought this was a neat little thing that was set up by the athletic department. It's a softball versus baseball Halloween trick-or-treat Halloween game. Fun game. It's a slow pitch softball game. That will be at Pioneer Park at 6:30. So if you're out in the Tusculum area and the kids are doing some trick-or-treating, maybe they're walking through campus, you see the lights that are going to be on over there at Pioneer Park, that'd be a great opportunity to go check that out. There'll be some events that will be there for those who are coming into campus. Again, absolutely a free event and just kind of a fun thing. As a matter of fact, both teams are going to be dressed up in costume playing in this Halloween fun game between the softball and baseball team. That's a great idea. So if you're out in the area, that begins at 6:30, so it will be somewhat dark. So if you're maybe not too great or keen on going out into a lot of the neighborhoods after dark, go check out Tusculum's Pioneer Park. They'll have some things for you here on campus. Basketball, didn't even talk about what J.D. Purton's team was doing last week in Arkansas after they were down 30-24 in the first half to the Razorbacks. Didn't end that way, as the Razorbacks went on to put up 96 points to the Pioneers' 47. But that's exhibition play in the SEC. They're back in the SEC this week as well. They take on the Tennessee Volunteers, who are preseason number 6 in the country, as Rick Barnes' squad will welcome the Tusculum Pioneers. Been down to Knoxville before. Last time the Pioneers were there, Quanzo Martin was in charge for the Volunteers, and that didn't work out too well for Tusculum. However, it's a chance for this team to get better with first-year coach J.T. Burton. Back-to-back Division I nights Wednesday night against Tennessee, and then on Thursday night in Cincinnati against the Bearcats. So should be great atmosphere for the Pioneers on back-to-back nights as far as exhibition is concerned. Should the Pioneer soccer teams advance, their semifinals will be on Friday at Rock Hill, South Carolina. The championship game will be on Sunday. Volleyball is on the road this weekend as they'll travel to Wingate on Friday as they'll wrap up the season on Saturday against Coker. There is exhibition for the Tusculum women's team as well as Devin Carter's women's basketball team gets set for their exhibition and their start of the regular season. They'll take on Milligan this coming Saturday, 2 o'clock for exhibition game. Cross country, they're wrapping up the season this weekend as well as they participate in the cross country challenge or the South Atlantic Conference Cross Country Championships from Spartanburg, South Carolina as well. And we've already talked about it. If you missed it, the Tusculum football team is on the road. They take on Virginia Military Institute, historic area, Washington and Lee College adjacent to the VMI Institute there. A lot of history there. So if you can make the road trip to Lexington, Virginia, just off Interstate 81 to Interstate 64, right off of 64, you'll be there in central Virginia. Let's talk about some people that had a great week. And no, Sean Foster, I'm sorry. Even though it was a great week for you, our Zaxby's Athletes of the Week this week, Cassie Bourne, along with Lorenzo Pratt. For the Tusculum Players of the Week, Cassie Bourne, the senior from Horseshoe, North Carolina. She averaged 3.93 kills, 3.21 digs, and leading Tusculum to a 2-1 record last week. Tusculum avenged a pair of 3-0 losses with victories over Carson Newman and Lenore Ryan. She posted 16 kills, 21 digs in the win against Carson Newman. Followed that with 23 kills, 10 digs, and a .375 hitting percentage on senior night against LR. Bourne finished off the week with 16 kills, 14 digs, and 4 blocks against Catawba. On the men's side of things, for our Zaxby's Athlete of the Week, it was Lorenzo Pratt. He finished the game against Carson Newman this week with 262 all-purpose yards, 151 rushing yards, 12 receiving yards, 99 kickoff return yards. That's the 7th highest in a Tusculum game in program history. His 4 touchdowns tied with 4 other players for the 2nd most in school history. Rushed for that career high, had 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter alone against Carson Newman, and it was touchdown runs of 1, 47, and 1. Amazingly enough, going into the contest, if I had told you that Tusculum would outrush Carson Newman, you probably wouldn't believe me. But Lorenzo Pratt, playing in front of his family for the first time in his collegiate career, goes off for his career best, 151 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, and a kickoff return for a touchdown of 91 yards. Congratulations to Cassie Bourne and Lorenzo Pratt, our Zaxby's Athletes of the Week. Well, it's been a big week, and we get ready to turn the page and head into the winter part of things with a lot of basketball coming up. So we'll have a lot of that focus. But best of luck to our Tusculum athletic teams as they participate, finishing out the regular season and in competition in the South Atlantic Conference Championships. I'm Brian Stayton for the Pioneer Weekly Recap.